This program is brought to you by Podcast One Sports.
Rush into Old Navy for jeans for the whole family. Tomorrow only, they're $12 for adults, $10 for kids. Better hurry, it's one day only tomorrow at Old Navy and OldNavy.com. Valid 11/11, select styles only.
Direct from the heart of Lakers Nation, Podcast One Sports brings you America's Lakers Podcast with Jay Mohr. Get the inside scoop without the gossip about your favorite team that lives up to the purple and gold standard.
America's Lakers Podcast. How you guys doing? Yeah, live from the underground. Jay Mohr at JMohr37. Aaron Larsuel at Aaron Larsuel.
What's happening? I didn't know it's the underground. That's the official name of the bunker at which we record.
This program is brought to you by Podcast One Sports.
Rush into Old Navy for jeans for the whole family. Tomorrow only, they're $12 for adults, $10 for kids. Better hurry, it's one day only tomorrow at Old Navy and OldNavy.com. Valid 11/11, select styles only.
Direct from the heart of Lakers Nation, Podcast One Sports brings you America's Lakers Podcast with Jay Mohr. Get the inside scoop without the gossip about your favorite team that lives up to the purple and gold standard.
To the Raptors, we come in to the Boston TD insert corporate logo overlord sentence here arena. 16 points.
Yes, 36 in the second. So let's give them credit for that. But yeah, the first quarter was a mess.
107-96 loss. I really thought they were going to win this game. I really had that feeling.
Yeah, you made the prediction in our last episode.
And it was winnable. And when they got within 4, I thought, a lot of energy to get back within 4. And there was a lot wrong with this game. Now, I could already see people on Twitter, and I don't base anything I do content-wise on people on Twitter.
Thank God.
But it's a salient point, and that is that because we are doing something for the Lakers, and we know people within the Lakers and are friends with Lakers,
sure,
that we're going to be super like kid glovey all the time. That's just not true.
We're going to tell you the truth.
Tonight was an abomination. Tonight was an F.
Yeah, it was bad.
F. With the exception of
I'm going to go D-. Because it takes
good rap name.
You just MC D-.
D-, because I don't fail.
It just, as you said, you alluded to it a little bit ago about the effort that it takes to come back, and that's not easy, especially when it goes bad early. A lot of teams, especially young teams, will just get avalanched and they'll just pack it in and lose by 40. So the D-, the one small grade up, I give the Lakers one small grade up from F for the effort to get back in the game.
I'm not that kind. I'm giving a straight F.
Well, you're just not that kind, period.
That is correct. I'll tell you this much.
It has nothing to do with basketball.
Only one player on the Lakers had a plus in the plus. One. How many guys played? 9? Big rotation.
There were 10. There were 10 guys that played for the Lakers.
That's too many, by the way. And when you have Andrew Bogut on the floor, that's way too many. That's way too many Bogut's. One guy in the Lakers had a plus.
Yeah,
one.
We will get to him. We got a lot coming on him. We'll get to him.
That's a tease, everybody.
You like that?
But first, headlines. I got to bring back local news anchors.
Okay,
too.
yeah.
It looked like the Lakers tonight, Aaron, played a little more like fakers. Cori Fry 42 for all. Like, I don't know.
Is it Cori with the weather? Should I go first with my headline?
Yeah,
right.
Headline game. We will always accept these on Twitter, Instagram, however you want to reach out to us. morestories37@gmail.com is the official. We do have a America's Lakers podcast Gmail, but I forgot what it was.
I think that's exactly what it is. America's Lakers Podcast at Gmail. So you didn't forget it.
Well, thank you for remembering now, but I got to go check that now. Now I got another account. So sure, good, great.
Yeah,
I'm genuinely happy about this. So email us, and we want to hear your headlines. I think headlines the easiest thing for people to get down with. It's harder than they think. Aaron, your headline.
My headline is, it's going to be a simple one this time. My headline is continuity. And my headline is continuity because it seemed like this game, and perhaps one explanation is the fact that this was on the road, but it seemed like the team was really building towards something and was sort of figuring things out. We talked last time about how Luke had tightened up the rotation and it seemed like he had figured some things out with the rotation. And this game against the Celtics, this loss at TD Overlord, whatever you call it, arena, on that ugly parquet floor, it really looked like was a lapse in that. It looked like that a lot of the things that the Lakers had built were abandoned. Abandoned is not the right word. Abandoned is too strong of a word. But it looked like the Lakers had less of an idea of what to do. And I'll talk about it later when we talk more specifically about this game. But this one, more than individual players not playing well, more than missing shots, etc., this one to me is more of a game plan loss.
I don't disagree at all. And individual players playing well or poorly, individual players played really well. And again, Brandon Ingram shaking off all remnants of rust of what could be considered potential.
Right.
Now we only see stealing 7 for 11. That's a guy. 1-3 didn't go in. He's like, I'm done with that. 7 boards.
Unfortunately, there's been some continuity in the Lakers' 3-point shooting. They shot 21% on threes tonight.
It's better than 11.
Well, it is.
Literally.
Yeah, it is. And worse than 31, which still wouldn't be very good. So at some point, and the coaching staff is going to have to address this, at some point we start to think maybe, we always talk about, you and I, when we did radio together, we used to play the Denny Green, they are who we thought they were. Maybe, and we talked about this in the first episode before the season started, maybe the Lakers as 3-point shooters, their field goal percentage overall has been fine throughout the year, but maybe the Lakers are who we thought they were, which is not great shooters from distance.
And we let them up the hook.
Right. So maybe it's time
Rest
to,
in peace.
And good coaches, good coaching staffs, and good players are able to identify strengths, identify weaknesses, and adjust. So maybe the Lakers need to adjust and understand that they're just maybe not going to shoot the 3 that well this year.
Because they're not taking 24 threes. They're not taking less threes, really.
No.
It's a modus operandi here.
Yeah, 5 of 24 is just plainly not good enough. And you want to, especially with the way the league is going now, you want to have the field goal attempts from 3. You want to have that number high because it forces the other team to guard you. It makes the floor bigger. It makes you have to guard more places on the floor. You have to guard farther out, which stresses the defense and opens up lanes for different things. So the 24 is a fine number.
Celtics 29, 7 for 29.
Right,
Celtics shot the same.
The Celtics weren't any good either. You just need to make, 24 is fine. You just need to make 10 of them instead of 5 of them.
I just unearthed an enormous positive on this entire SH show of a game that we just watched. Those Celtics.
It's always right.
What happened to the Lakers?
It's always bad. Losing to the Celtics is always right. It's almost like losing twice. Right, losing to the Celtics just stings a little bit more here in LA.
Yes, it does.
I think they started, there was that good 30 for 30 that ESPN did about the Lakers and Celtics rivalry, and I believe we learned in that, and I'm sure a lot of people out there listening already know that that's where the Beat LA chant, I believe, started in the 80s in the Lakers-Celtics rivalries.
Yes, of course, that is true. Your headline is continuity.
Continuity, yeah. And there was a lack of it today
headline.
Or tonight.
And you said something really important, really building towards something.
Yeah, it seemed like it.
I watched it all go out the window in the first quarter, and then the first couple of substitutions, I went, this is really weird. Really weird. Coach Tony Bennett's going to weigh in on that.
Please.
My headline is, if it's not broke, fix it.
Makes perfect. Wait, no, it doesn't.
Because the old expression, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Right.
It wasn't broken. And
no.
We tried a really weird fix tonight with the Bogut minutes. It seemed longer. I believe it was 9 in totality.
I think he played 5 minutes.
It just seemed like 45 minutes.
And you were talking about, speaking of weird, the night started off weird, especially for those of us watching. You can obviously watch here in LA on the Lakers channel, but some of us watched on ESPN also, and Woj, who's a great writer and knows basically everything that happens in the NBA before it actually happens.
He's the guy.
Yeah, he was out there before.
Got a guy, and Woj is the guy.
Yeah, he's the NBA guy. And you and I were texting while we were watching the game, and you were talking about how weird it was. The night started strangely.
Go on if you want to explain.
Yeah, I mean, he just, if you're looking up at the TV, Woj said basically
before tip-off.
Before tip-off, Woj is doing a stand-up out on the court and said, basically Randall unlikely to be a Laker long-term, which is a strange. I mean, whether it's true or not. Whether we suspect that or not,
it's true. That's why he's the guy.
And a lot of people, we could suppose that, but the timing of it is very strange. Why tell us that now?
And I pointed out on Twitter at JMoore37, at Aaron Larsuel, Fry42 on the Wheels of Steel over here. I was retweeting other bloggers. I have a blog. Other bloggers, other podcasts, and I listen to all of them, and I enjoy them.
Yeah.
But there's always a negative undertone in this town, and I wasn't really hip to it until I got fully immersed in Lakerdom with this transition into the new era and stuff. And it was Lakers are 7th in defense in the NBA, but can they sustain it? I'm like, well, what if they do?
Right.
Like, it's like, why? But,
and you know what's funny?
And at the end of the guy's column, it was, this is all great, and the statistics show that they will. And I'm like, why spot the negative? It's
right.
Just,
well, what you're saying, which is strange about that, is if you find something very positive, we only ask stuff that is like incredibly positive. Can you sustain it? Well, if something is negative, do you ask the same question? Do you say, is that going to be sustained also?
Not here,
right? It's like, I don't know why. It's in some respects it's kind of human nature, but I think it's also a Los Angeles thing, as you're pointing out, and possibly. With people, with fans, with writers, bloggers, et cetera, media that cover a team with expectations like the Lakers always have, because you talk about there's a standard and then there's the purple and gold standard. So when we always expect such wonderful things from the franchise and it looks like those things are coming, it seems like you're right. It seems like people are more apt to point out the negative or to grab onto the negative, which is kind of strange.
Go to jmoore.com for all your needs. And I mean anything. You get a lot of comedy there. There's cartoons up there from the More Stories.
I like cartoons.
Podcast. My LSD lightning bolt story is up. It's pretty fascinating. Also, there's an Amazon banner. It doesn't cost you anything. It's just an extra click. Amazon wants to know where you're coming from. And all that money is direct deposit to my son's college education, because I didn't go to college. I barely got out of high school. He's going to college whether he knows it or not. Dear JJ, email me morestories3737@gmail.com. My name's Tony. I live in Anaheim. I met you once a few years back at a stand-up show in Phoenix. I was wearing a Coyotes hoodie. You saw me in line and started howling. And I was impressed that you took the time to meet with every one of your fans that waited at the show that night. You made my night. Thank you for being so genuine and kind with all of us Warriors. I went to jmoore.com. I clicked on the Amazon banner to help Trash Truck out. My purchase wasn't Sarah Brady big. Do you know what Sarah Brady big means?
I don't.
I'll tell you in a sec. She bought like three $8,000 TVs on the Amazon banner.
And they'll say, what is it? Like it's 78. $8,000 TV is like a 25-inch black and white.
It was just like basically a semester of my son's college from this one gal. But I hope it helps out. I bought a wooden container for my essential oils to help me get through the days. Some pencils and erasers, a pencil sharpener for my classroom, a new life-proof case for my iPhone, and a cooling headband for when I work out. Thank you for all the free content. Your shows make my long commutes more tolerable. I appreciate you. And more ball. Can't wait to see your stand-up show when you're back in the OC. Here's to more alternative lifestyle, Droopy Dog.
I second that.
And Mafia Boss Kermit. Thanks, Jay. Tony Alvarado.
Well, thank you for that, Tony. And
now, why don't you go get your effing shine box? Mm-hmm, yeah. Mm-hmm. He's a rat. Whole family are rats. Indeed. Take him out back and break his legs. Mm-hmm.
JJ and I would both want some sort of case for our iPhones that will not change capital I's into A's with boxed question marks.
Yeah, what's going on with all the iPhones?
There's a little update. Update they need to fix.
All right, I think it's the Russians.
And speaking of things that need to be fixed,
we'll tell you what needs to be fixed ASAP, and we're going to circle back to that Adrian Wojnarowski story that was very oddly I don't blame Woj is in it clear on this. Woj is the guy. But the fact that that's your national story before a national game on ESPN, the worldwide leader, And your guy, Woj, the guy that knows everything about the NBA, he's not talking about seventh in defense, the fact that everybody on the floor is 21 years old, the fact that Kyle Kuzma is far exceeding everything. He could have done a whole remote about Zoe's broken shot. He could have talked about Lamont, who's one of them in China getting arrested for shoplifting, and the dad goes, it ain't that big a deal. Double negative, first of all. Second of all, your kid's in a Chinese prison.
Yeah.
Big deal.
Yeah, wasn't that the, what movie, was that Red Square, the movie with Richard Gere where he got stuck overseas? I think it was China, right? If movies from the 90s or 2000s are to be believed, then prisons in China, I think it's China, prisons in China are not to be trifled with, family.
Not like other prisons that are just luxury places, right?
Well, I watch Netflix.
Maybe what he stole wasn't getting enough minutes. And the dad told him to do it. Listen to these words from our sponsors.
You're listening to America's Lakers Podcast with Jay Mohr.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
What's going on, man?
Hi, guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the team, Loveline, man. You guys remember us from back in the day? Well, we're doing a pod, and we're doing it every day.
And we've been doing it for a while, and if I hear one more time people say, God, I loved you and Adam together on Loveline, and I'm like, yeah, we're doing a podcast. Will you please just join us at the Adam and Dr. Drew Show, please? At AdamandDrDrewShow.com. It's a great show. Come on now. Only on Podcast One. That's us, Adam and Dr. Drew Show. Just like the old days.
Doctor's orders.
Oh, man, you're funny.
Yep. All right, let's go save some babies.
Let's do it.
America's Lakers Podcast. Jay Mohr, Aaron Larsuel, Cori Fry. And here we are doing it for you. There's the gold standard, there's the purple and gold standard, and that means you got to be better than everybody else. Tonight's loss against the Celtics, we're recording this right after the debacle on a Wednesday night at Celtic Town, 107-96. It wasn't that close, then it was, but it was a boat race early, and we did not have a boat. And the big question, Aaron, me, everybody listening is the same, and it was trending on Twitter. The name Julius Randle was trending on Twitter. Wojnarowski, his thing is, Randle almost certainly will not be here at the end of the season. And you and I just immediately texted each other, wait, why? It doesn't make sense. And then for Randle to only play 21 minutes, for Bogut to come off the bench
first
before Julius Randle is, you want to talk about a break from the game plan. If it ain't broke, fix it. It wasn't broken, and you're trying to fix it with Andrew Bogut for what? To go against Baines?
Yeah. So Randle was again the Lakers' best player, and you talked about earlier in the show.
Only player with a plus,
right.
+5.
Yeah, he was +5. Everybody else was negative.
He was on the court. That's when everything started turning.
Which is interesting because I think Lonzo was -5, which was actually one of the better marks on the Lakers. But Lonzo, we talked about in the show earlier this week, our last show, that Lonzo, even though he hadn't been playing all that well, he was still ++++ in his last 4 games.
That's right.
But to me, this was it was a game plan loss. I talked about that earlier, and let me tell you why. From the beginning, from the opening possession for the Lakers, and I stopped. You talked about in the last episode, you stopped counting. I had to stop counting how many Lakers possessions it was because by the time I had quit counting, I was fully nude and had nothing else to count with. I think it.
You got to 20, 23.
I literally don't know how many possessions it was, but I don't know if at all the Lakers put Kyrie Irving in a pick and roll, especially not with Lonzo Ball, and I just don't understand it. Kyrie Irving, his steal numbers.
The only thing he's not exceptional at.
He's
by far the best guy on the court.
He's the best. He's the best player on the court. He is a terrible defensive player. Kyrie Irving is a terrible, terrible defensive player. I know his numbers are okay this year. That's not fair. His numbers have been really good this year. His steal number, he's leading the NBA in steals. But he is known as a terrible defensive player, especially in pick and roll. And we call it putting people in the torture chamber. He was not. The Lakers didn't run a Lonzo Ball pick and roll for him ever that I saw, and I don't understand it. It's
I would never think
a game
of
plan
that.
loss.
I would never think of that in 100 years because that's why you're here.
It should have been the first play.
Analytical genius that you are, Aaron Larsuel. So you're saying, this 107-96 loss. First of all, you hit your free throws a little closer, and if we stop taking so many threes, but look, you got to shoot your way out of a slump. Make no mistake about it. Lonzo Ball is in a horrible shooting slump. What do you have, 4 for 15
Yeah, it was
tonight?
4 for 15 tonight. I
point,
saw
I
he's 10 of 45 in his last 4 games.
I had to run to the store, and I had my son in the car with me, and I'm listening on the radio, and John Ireland goes, Lonzo for 3 misses. Let's say he tried to bank it. And I went, that must have been ugly for John Ireland to go, let's just say he tried to bank it. Like, why not?
The other part of it, the other reason I say this is a game plan loss, the thing that I just don't understand is that the you call it the Sepulveda lineup, right? It's been working. You're going to play
long five.
You play Bogut early. Didn't go well. You take Bogut out, and then after that, you want to go with Randall at center, which was working okay. The Lakers closed the game when it was still within reach. It was like a 4, 6, 8-point game in the fourth quarter with Brandon Ingram at center, and Brandon Ingram can't guard Aaron Baines down low. He just can't. No. He's not big enough to do so. He's too light to do so. He has the length, but Aaron Baines was beasting everybody all day. Aaron Baines he had 21 points and 8 boards in 20 minutes. And it was all...
This guy gets 6 points a game. This is what gave me fits last year.
5.5 a game.
Your average player comes to Staples, and we'll make sure he's got 26. So if Aaron Baines is a 6-point-a-night guy, why does Lopez ever leave Aaron Baines?
Right, yeah. Lopez played 17 minutes, had 10 points. Lopez was fine.
There was no reason for Andrew Bogut to come in for Brook Lopez as the substitution. Everybody wants to know, why did Julius Randle play 21 minutes? And it was so dubious for him, his absence in the
12,
entire...
By the way, 12 rebounds too. 16 and 12 in 21 minutes for Randle.
He was incredible. And you've been saying it. He's the best player on the Lakers. Ingram now is really...
Ingram has been good.
He's getting right up there.
For the year...
I'm damn impressed with
Randle has been
Ingram.
the best player on the... especially when rebounding is such a problem. Julius Randle is a really good rebounder, and the rebounding and turnovers were a huge problem.
When he doesn't play in the entire first quarter after Woj has a standalone saying, he's not going to be here at the end of the year.
Yeah,
I'm looking
at
Twitter.
Long term. He's not going to be here long term.
People they're idiots. Like, they're actual dummies. Like, no, because we're going to trade him. Why not get something on your investment? Well, you can't trade Julius Randle and get something on your investment because his contract expires. And if you bring on a contract, then you gum up the works for 2018.
Right.
And there's only 2 Lakers that know they're going to be Lakers next year. That's Lonzo Ball and Brandon Ingram.
Yeah,
everybody else is in flux.
Yeah, Kuzma, I think, will be here, and Nance probably. But yes, they're all first and second year guys. And we have a mailbag question we'll get into later. I think there's only one possible scenario. I think it's very unlikely, but I think there's only one possible scenario in which Julius Randle gets traded, which I will get into.
Let's do it now.
Okay, you want to do it now?
Yeah, and then we'll get into the mailbag. But I really want to emphasize this. For Woj to start the show before tip-off on a nationally televised game saying that Julius Randle is most certainly not in the long-term plans of the Lakers, and for Julius Randle not to play in the first quarter, there is no way on God's green earth at any part of his day, evening, week, year, or lifetime that Luke Walton ever thought to himself, Bogut is better for me on the court right now than Julius Randle. It's impossible.
Yeah, which
makes me think there's a weird, subversive, other force, outside interference at work, which is dysfunction, which is what happened under the old regime, because everybody was always being really behind the back business. And when he doesn't play for Andrew Bogut.
Yeah, so it seemed a lot like, and you and I were there together for it, it seemed a lot like the opener where there was something personal going on.
Luol Deng started on opening night, and he's been a DNP coach's decision ever since. So either you horribly misjudged the talent level of one Luol Deng, or it was personal, like you said.
So Landon Lynn at Landon Lynn PE asked us this is at Ask ALP. If you want questions, we'll answer them.
That's the hashtag. Ask ALP. America's Lakers Podcast mailbag. We will do this every week.
Yeah. So if you have questions during a game or just kind of randomly, we'll answer them. So Landon asks, why would the Lakers trade Randle? My quick answer to that is they won't. For various reasons. The only scenario in which I could see Julius Randle being traded, the only way it makes sense for the Lakers, is if he is the sweetener, that's the wrong word. If he is the sweetener for a Luol Deng trade. If it takes Julius Randle to be able to get off of Luol Deng's money, like in the offseason when you're trading Mozgov,
people had fits that D'Angelo Russell had to go to get rid of Mozgov's money. So what are they going to say when Julius Randle goes? Let's say you trade for LeBron James and you get to get Julius Randle. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, well, the unsaid thing there is that you're clearing the money for LeBron James, Paul George, Boogie Cousins, whoever.
I'm interrupting on purpose. But the money, and this is the answer to Landon Lynn's mailbag question, hashtag AskALP. And he's a Rip City guy. He's a Portland dude. And that is, to trade Randall, I got a guy that's a double-double, no doubt. He's my most effective player. I only have to pay him $4.5 million. He's playing 46 minutes a night. I'm going to drive this car till the wheels come off, and I'm driving on the rims. By the way, I've done that many times. Like, well, I got the sparks,
right?
Yeah, I'm only 2 miles from home. So
the answer to the question is the Lakers are not going to trade him because you talked about
I'm not so sure. That was so strange tonight.
You talked about this on Twitter that financially the only way it makes sense if you trade Randall and bring somebody in, then they have to be somebody who doesn't have any money next year because you're trying to clear space for next year. You said that on Twitter.
So then what's the point of trading him if he's better than whoever?
There isn't any.
Right.
Unless it requires him, because if you trade him to somewhere, the team that you trade him to will have his restricted rights in free agency. So the only way it could benefit the Lakers at all, as I see it, is trading him if that's what it takes to be able to trade Luol Deng somewhere and get off of all of his money.
Bring Lou Williams back. 1 year left, shoots the three, makes the three. It's got to be either a point guard or it's got to be somebody that can hit the three.
Yeah, I mean, and the interesting thing that
I mean hit the three. I mean somebody's got to shoot 50%.
Yeah, that's the deficiency. That's the deficiency of the Lakers team.
Somebody's got to shoot 50% from three to come in here.
That's tough to do, but yes, somebody's definitely got to be. The Lakers need 3-point shooting, and what you're alluding to there with Lou Williams. The interesting thing, if you trade Luol Deng and it requires Randall also to get off of Luol Deng's money. The NBA has rules about the salaries matching closely in a trade. So you're going to have to bring back, close to, I think, Randall makes like $5 million this year and Luol's making 18. So you're going to have to bring back, something like
23 million.
Right. And it's like within 25%, but you're going to have to bring back a bunch of money. So that money is going to have to be only for this year, like the Lakers did trading Mozgov for Brook Lopez and including D'Angelo Russell. Lopez only has money. He makes enough money so that the numbers work, but he only makes that money for this year. So it's going to be tough to do, which is why I don't think it makes really any sense for the Lakers to trade Randall.
Is there any chance on earth, in your opinion, the Lakers, and don't answer yet,
okay,
trade for LeBron James, who is drowning in Cleveland? Here's a word from our sponsors.
This is America's Lakers Podcast.
Howdy, folks. It's good old JR Jim Ross, pro wrestling broadcaster and barbecue enthusiast, inviting you to join me every week for my podcast, The Ross Report, right here on Podcast One. Each week, I talk to the biggest stars in sports entertainment. We talk about the news of the day, MMA, wrestling, football, and much more. Recently, I've talked to such folks as Chris Jericho, Kane, Sonny, the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, and Emmy winner Rory Carp. Download and listen to The Ross Report every Tuesday at PodcastOne.com, the brand new Podcast One app. And be sure, folks, to rate and subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts.
America's Lakers Podcast. Jay Mohr, Aaron Larsuel, Cori Fry. Podcast One brings you this podcast. Get the Podcast One app. It's fantastic. I have it on my phone. You should have it on yours. There's a More Stories app. That's my other podcast. That's my baby. You can hear me talking to Norman Lear, Randy Jackson. Yo, dog, yo. We get down a lot of interviews with musicians, comics, a lot of laughs, a lot of tears, more stories. And on this podcast, please rate and review and subscribe. Go to iTunes and put that 5 stars down and just write jibber jabber. That's what everybody listening right now.
Literally jibber jabber?
Write down jibber, 5 stars.
Two words? Is that enough?
And then write 5 stars for all the jibber jabber.
I like it.
5 stars for all the jibber jabber. All right. So is there any chance on God's green earth that the Lakers could actually swing this where they trade for LeBron James now?
No.
Why? That was a very quick no.
Yeah, because there is 0.000 chance that Cleveland is willing to trade LeBron James while they still feel like they have a chance to...
They traded Kyrie Irving.
Kyrie Irving is not from Cleveland. He's not LeBron James. Kyrie Irving's a really good player and was, pretty good. He wasn't great tonight, but he was pretty good tonight. But there is 0 chance that... It would be like the Lakers trading Magic Johnson if Magic Johnson was actually from Los Angeles. Cleveland still fancies themselves as...
I'm not so sure. I have no inside information.
You don't think they fancy themselves as an Eastern Conference champion? You get to the finals and then you see what happened. They won 2 years ago against the Warriors when the Warriors had won 73 games because there was Draymond got suspended and Steph wasn't quite right.
That's true. And Kyrie looks like a genius because LeBron, the rumors and everything in the wind, and we're not going to deal in innuendo and rumors, was that LeBron's out of here after this year. So Kyrie realizes, well, that means I'm going to be stuck with a bunch of bums as you guys rebuild. Mm-hmm. And by the way, if you want to put the Lakers rebuild in perspective, it's rebuilt. This is no longer a rebuild. This is a very good team. It's not necessarily a playoff team or a 500 team, but everybody's 20, 21, 19 years old.
It's definitely going in the right direction.
It's built. We're built. And you just got to add pieces as you go. So if Kyrie Irving realizes, oh, wow, I'm going to be stuck with these bums. When LeBron will be gone, everybody's going to be gone. It's just going to be parts, and I don't want to be out here with like Delonte West and his mom.
It'll look like it looked for Kyrie before LeBron came back.
Mm-hmm. Then that coach Tony Bennett almost died coaching that team. I swear to God, if we don't get a body on a body. Coach Tony Bennett would have had a heart attack tonight, of course, against the Celtics.
Yeah, I mean,
Andrew Bogut, take a trip on a train.
I think Coach Bennett, I think there is definitely a chance, I'm not going to put a percentage on it, but I think there is definitely a decent chance that LeBron James is a Laker next year.
Aaron Larsuel, it had to be you.
Oh, thank you, Coach.
It had to be you. I wanted it around fine. I swear to God, Brandon Ingram, I'm glad you only took 1-3.
But I think there's like literally, I mean, obviously there are no absolutes in life, but I think as close as an absolute is, as much as I know my mother is my mother, I would tell you that Cleveland is not trading LeBron James.
I'm going to tell you this on record. Something's in the air, as the Phil Collins song. I can feel it.
Yeah. Wait for the drums to kick in.
Otherwise, you're just really wasting your time. If those drums don't kick in, you just go, I just wasted 4 minutes of my life sitting here waiting for the
longest intro. And it's literally like a minute 45 of waiting for the drums to kick in.
Good payoff, though. I'm going to tell you this. Something's in the air. I'm telling you. I have no inside information. You know what? If something is in the air, if Woj is going to do this, then tell us.
Yeah, the timing of it
Let
is very
us be the
strange.
official podcast of the Los Angeles Lakers. Let us be the official Los Angeles Lakers podcast. And just let us know a thing or two here and there so we don't come to the mics like, what the hell was that? Because then we can pacify an entire nation, Lakers nation, and say, you know what? Don't worry. We won't spill the beans. But, hey, everything's cool. Like, give us a little wink. Yeah, give us a heads up. We're your boys. It's Aaron Larsuel, Jay Mohr with us. JJ, man.
So I agree with you with one thing very specifically, and that is the timing of it doesn't make a lot of sense. The timing of his reporting is strange. And we all know that it's unlikely that Julius Randle is going to be a Laker. Like
he'd have to agree to work for $8 million, essentially.
If you're planning to get two max guys, if it's LeBron and Paul George, LeBron and Boogie Cousins, whoever, maybe Isaiah Thomas, whoever it is. If you're planning to get two max guys, the only way Randall can come back, even for $8 million, is if you can get rid of Dang, Clarkson, Dang, Lopez, KCP. They all have to go.
I'm glad you just said what you said because you don't need two max contract players for this team to make a deep run. You don't. If I can get Brandon Ingram, the front court, Brandon Ingram, Julius Randle.
Okay.
KCP is not going to be here most likely, and he hasn't really, if we're just going to call a spade here, shovel's a shovel, and that's that. This isn't a guy that you brought. He's the shooting guard, and he's not shooting particularly well. His defense on the perimeter is really good.
Well, there's a reason he has a 1-year contract.
Right. And that's problematic to me because... And I think he's a great player, and he's an electrifying player when he hits back-to-back threes, and his defense on the perimeter is really great.
Yeah, it's been pretty good, yeah.
But if you have a 1-year contract, that's when you want to take it up, way up.
Yeah, because you're trying to get the next contract, right.
That's why you agree to the 1-year contract. So if you're only going to take 10 shots a night, hit 7 of them. And that's, they've been rimming out, and I hope they do.
Oh, boy. What's rimming out?
So I just want to point out one just on this game specifically.
I just think you need one max guy. If I have a front court of Brandon Ingram, who is going to be, he's here. It's great. I'm so happy with Brandon Ingram and Julius Randle. And
he's here, but not, and you talk about this a lot. He is arriving as we're watching it, but you talk about his ceiling. It's not potential anymore. It looks like he is arriving, and his ceiling is higher. So we can still expect more from Brandon, right. But it's not about potential specifically.
It's not about, we're getting 18 and 7 every night. Kuzma's doing what Kuzma does, 4 for 10 points, 6 boards, whatever. But if my front court is Brandon Ingram, Julius Randle, Kuzma, if I can get Kuzma to play the 3, forget it. I am up and running off to the races. If he can defend the 3, if he can shoot the 3 from the 3, if I can just make him a swing man functionally and situationally, and definitionally.
Yes, nominally and functionally.
If I can bring in a guy, one guy, if I can bring in either Russell Westbrook, these are all hypotheticals, by the way, to play somebody to play the 2, somebody that can play the 3, the 2, and the 1. You're going to tell me if LeBron James on a team with these guys, they're going to make a deep run with just one max contract guy?
Well, yeah, I mean, if that one guy is LeBron James.
What if it's Paul George? Just Paul George?
Probably not.
Really?
But LeBron James, we've seen, throughout history, that including in Cleveland now, basically, that LeBron James basically by himself, at least in the East, can get you to the finals and give you a puncher's chance against the Warriors. Is that LeBron team that you're talking about? If you basically take this same Lakers team and add LeBron to it, it's not good enough to beat the Warriors, but it's in the conversation. I think they're there with, OKC, who's struggled so far, and Houston and San Antonio as the best in the group of the best challengers to the Warriors.
So your unrestricted free agents of next year, Boogie Cousins, like you said, which I'm like, I get the vapors when I talk about Boogie Cousins. Marcin Gortat does not feel the same way I do. Avery Bradley.
Avery Bradley's a good player.
He's not a max player. So if you're looking at a max contract, and if I can get Avery Bradley for $12, $13, $14, even $15 million, I think too much attention is too max.
The guys that here's the thing, and this is what the Lakers, Magic and Pelinka, the Lakers decision makers, have done smartly, is they're trying to set themselves up to have 2 max slots, because that gives you the most flexibility. If you either strike out on one or both of those spots or choose to not use all of that money, fine. But the Lakers are trying to put themselves in a position so that they have those 2 spots available to them. It's going to take max money to sign LeBron. It's going to take max money to sign Boogie. It's going to take max money to sign Paul George. It's probably going to take max money to sign Isaiah Thomas. So you want to give yourself and Isaiah is not a good fit here, but the point of it is that the Lakers decision makers have put the Lakers and the organization are on the path to putting themselves in a great position to have those options open.
Maybe the best I've ever seen a franchise put itself, by the way.
They're doing a good job, and especially escaping from the Mozgov albatross of a contract that the previous regime. And, the interesting thing about that is D'Angelo also was tied to the previous regime. Who knows if Magic and Pelinka had the same opinion of D'Angelo as the previous regime, as I'm going to keep calling it.
I don't know if anybody really liked D'Angelo Russell, period. Every story, like Byron, you got Byron Scott, you got all these different guys that go like,
Yeah, I mean, Byron just tied to Kobe and also really dislikes rookies. But
if your guy is just 3 different coaches and 3 different players, he's a snitch. Nobody's comfortable around the guy. That's a problem. This team is really together.
Yes, this team does appear to really like each other, and that sort of locker room dissension is a problem, and it matters. But it especially matters if it's your point guard, and not being able to feel like you can really trust your point guard is a problem.
It is a problem. I'm going to throw a couple names at you. You tell me which one you would rather have. These are unrestricted free agents 2018.
Okay.
For the Lakers specifically.
Okay.
All right. J.J. Redick, Trevor Ariza, Avery Bradley, Julius Randle. No money, nothing. Which guy do you want on your team if you're the Lakers next year?
Avery Bradley.
I don't disagree.
And then Randle's second.
What about Chris Paul? How many years do you offer Chris Paul at 32 years old?
I give
him 10.
Chris Paul, well, and he's the president of the Players Association and had a hand in negotiating the fact that you could give 5-year deals, which is the most you can give anybody, to players as they age. So Chris Paul it's called the Chris Paul rule, in fact. So Chris Paul maybe was negotiating the fact that he could get a longer deal as he gets a little longer in the tooth.
$24 million this year.
Chris Paul?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So any
I don't think Chris Paul fits the timeline here particularly well. Either, but I mean, look, the answer to the question is LeBron James and then Paul George. That's the answer to the question.
Is LeBron an unrestricted free agent?
Yes, he's going to opt out. So yes, he will be. He's not listed on whatever you're looking at now because
you don't want Raymond Felton.
You want to hear a good Raymond Felton story? It's
I think
quick.
We all do. And by the way, next week we'll hear finally you're almost getting into a fist fight with Shaquille O'Neal story.
Yeah. So we had Raymond Felton when I worked for the Blazers, and it was during the strike year. So the season started at Christmas, basically. Or maybe it actually started at Christmas, but it started around Christmas. So Raymond Felton, who is not known for being in the best of shape in the best of times.
Well, his nickname is the Penguin.
Yes. So we signed Felton, and he comes in, and the time between the season, the deal between the players and the players union and the owners getting reached and the season starting was very quick. I think it was like 10 days or something like that. So guys didn't really have a good training camp. So Ray comes in and is completely overweight, thoroughly overweight. He's bad to start the year because he's fat, and he's a decent player anyway, not great anyway. So he is fat, overweight, he's bad, and eventually the Portland fans get on him and he starts getting sick of it a little bit into the year. He goes after a game where he is particularly bad, and they ask him about the booze, about if you heard the booze, and he said, basically, I don't listen to all of that. And if anybody has a problem with me, here's where I stay. And he gave his address and had his address printed in the newspaper and said, if any of the fans have a problem with me, they can come meet me. They know where I stay, and I will come talk to them about it on the street.
And he gave out his home address.
He gave his home address, basically challenged.
And nobody showed up.
Basically challenged every Portland Trailblazer fan that had a problem with him to a fight in front of his house.
That's really different. That's amazing, and I respect the man for it. And I never, as a Knicks season ticket holder back in the day, I dug him.
He lived in the Pearl District. Yeah.
He did as best he could. But I'll tell you one thing. L.A., someone's, hey, come on your front lawn, I say. So there's going to be somebody out there.
Yeah, in L.A., you can get away with that in Portland, but in L.A., you ain't getting away with that.
They'll be like, he's in the Valley.
Yeah.
Hey, he lives by me,
He lived in the, Ray lived in the Pearl District. He gave his address and said, literally, if anybody has a problem.
That's right by Helium Comedy Club.
Yeah, it is close, yeah.
You and me would be like, oh, he lives in Marina Del Rey? All right, let's go paddle boarding. Hey, we think he's
apparently nobody wanted to really talk about how many times Ray had turned the ball over earlier that night.
Let's look ahead. This Lakers team tonight was a very strange, full moon, Halloween, midnight, the witching hour, everything that could go wrong went wrong.
And
they clawed
one
back
last
into
thing,
it. If Julius Randle plays 30 minutes,
yes,
and he's in the game instead of Andrew Bogut, did they win that game?
No,
really,
no.
But that's the easy thing to do, is just go, well, if Julius Randle started, they win.
Yeah, I mean, Julius, in my opinion, doesn't need to start. Well, I mean, I would like him to start, but with the lineup as it is, he doesn't need to. I definitely would have him rather been in the first quarter than Bogut.
You know what this team needs, Aaron Larsuel?
What's that, Coach?
Coach Tony Bennett. This team needs a room without windows, a room without doors. All right, a room with no guy, but I can watch film on yours.
But you talked about how this was and I think it's a good word for it. It's a full
bombing.
It was a full moon kind of game. Everything goes wrong. The Lakers shot 43.5%. Not great, but it's okay. And held Boston at 38.8% shooting. How often are you going to win shooting 39%? Not often. The reason why? The Celtics had 13 more field goal attempts. This is why turnovers and offensive rebounding, where the Lakers have really struggled. They've struggled on the defensive glass recently, and turning the ball over. They've been one of the worst teams in the league. If you turn the ball
a lot of turnovers tonight.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it was 10 in the first half. If you turn the ball over and give up offensive rebounds, it's giving the opponent, in this case the Celtics, more chances to score. So even if the Celtics don't shoot as well, they have more opportunities at it.
So the enormous positive that I mentioned earlier to tease was, if you can play this poorly and be within 4 of a team like the Boston Celtics.
Yeah, who've now won, I think it is 10 in a row. They went 0-2 and are now 10-2, so they've won 10 straight now.
10-2. There's no moral victories with this Los Angeles Lakers team.
No, we talked about that, too.
And that's a good thing. That there are no moral. Nobody's like, hey, we hung with them. That's great. It's cool. No, we lost. If you can shoot that poorly and have the other team, look, they were hitting shots. Who's the dude in the first quarter? He just threw a ball over the back of his head backwards and it went in and
I
won.
think it was Samaje Ojale. Yeah, and the foul, yes.
From SMU?
Mm-hmm.
He just chucked it, it over his head, and it went in. It was just like a circus shot. That's how crazy a game it was. A guy threw a ball backwards over his head, and it went in, and he got fouled.
And Aaron Baines was, 8 of 12 from the field. Aaron Baines is okay, and he's a good fit there.
Why does Brook Lopez come out of that game? Was Baines getting his when Lopez was on him?
Not really, no.
I don't know. And I don't want to second guess Luke Walton because he's forgotten more basketball than I'll ever know. I don't know if anybody can say that about you, actually, though. You know more basketball than any NBA guy I've ever met.
Well, thank you.
That's true.
Brooke had 4 fouls in, I think it was 17 minutes, and had a couple not great turnovers.
I like when people start blaming the refs on Twitter. You're like, yeah, that's what did it, those referees. Let's look ahead. We got the Washington Wizards tomorrow night, which I think might be the best tonic for this team. And, by the way, more backcourt. Kyrie Irving, good Lord.
Yep.
It just, this team has a very hard schedule.
And Jaylen Brown and Tatum are... Good. Tatum got hurt tonight, but Jaylen Brown and Tatum.
Wizards tomorrow night, or tonight when you're listening to this, November 9th, Thursday, I think that's a really great thing to just take a train south and just get back out on the court.
Yeah, so they're going to fly, but you know what I think is
you
really...
heard?
You know what I think is really important here? You talked about how this was a very strange game and, full moon game. For young teams who have these kind of weird games... This is like a thing in college football and the NFL a lot when strange things happen and then you have to wait to have a chance to correct it. I think this is going to be a good thing because the Lakers are going to play tonight as you listen to this. So it's a chance to kind of put this game aside that we watched tonight, last night, when you're listening to this, and really, get back at it and just kind of correct all of those things. You don't have to
Do you watch film on this? Do you watch film on it?
Yes.
Do you on the
plane?
Ones you
don't? Yes, on the plane. Yeah, the ones you don't because there's not going to be a lot of time. You're not going to have time for a practice tomorrow. The Lakers will get in. They'll probably get in at 2 o'clock in the morning. It's not that long of a flight, and we'll get to the hotels and then we'll get up, have some breakfast, and have a walk through tomorrow. Most teams it's usually about 10.
Let's not wake up Andrew Bogut.
So yes,
just let him sleep.
Let him sleep.
Let him sleep.
He's going to be like Home Alone where they all leave and he's going to be stuck there.
Yeah. Boy, that Phoenix game at the end of the run Monday looks really nice.
Yeah, and
that's going to be the one they piss away.
And we talked about it. No, we talked about this on the last podcast. If the road trip goes 0-3 and then you win at Phoenix, that's obviously you'd like to do better, but it's tough to win games on the road in the NBA. So if you go 1-3, this is a tough East Coast road trip.
I really thought they were going to win this game. I came
and especially Al Horford didn't play
tweeting
either, who's been one of the best players in the Eastern Conference so far. So
he didn't want any of that Brooke Lopez medicine.
Yeah,
no fly zone, son.
He wanted none of that.
Lakers lose 107-96. First quarter, I don't know if I've seen a worse quarter in my life. I've seen teams score single digits in quarters, but it was not good. This was weird. Everything.
You know what it kind of reminded me of? It looked a lot like the first quarter in Portland.
Yeah. That's a very
the Celtics didn't shoot as well as Portland, so they didn't score as much, but it looked kind of strange like that, a team that didn't have its sea legs yet.
Got my sea legs. Run the jewels. Los Angeles at Washington tonight. That's a good thing. Man, more backcourt. Then at Milwaukee Saturday night.
Yeah, have fun with Giannis.
I think they'll be all right. I think if anybody could have fun with them, I think it's Brandon Ingram.
And Ingram,
what kind of fun would
Ingram in the third quarter tonight had a great move, and I put this down in my notes that he had a Euro step layup that reminded me a lot of Giannis. And there's only a couple guys in the NBA that can do it. Ingram's one of them. Giannis and KD are the best too. But it kind of showed it's a flash of what Ingram can turn into.
Who had the most points in the NBA tonight? Quick.
Who had the most points in the NBA?
On Wednesday night.
I don't know. Aaron Baines. No, Steph had more. Steph had 22. I don't know.
Devin Booker had 30.
Who
Dragic right behind him with 29.
Who the Lakers will see in Phoenix. And Corey Brewer did a great job.
More backcourt.
Yeah.
You know what? Good. Bring it. Bring the toughest you got.
Yeah, trial by fire for Lonzo.
Outside the wrestling room at Crespi High, where I'm doing my thing over there, trying my best to assistant coach. Steel can only be forged by steel. So let's keep forging.
Yeah, iron sharpens iron. Yep.
Iron sharp. Maybe that's exactly what it says, actually.
Yeah, I think so.
So
probably.
The enormous positive here is this is the worst I believe they've played even in a 17-win season where Swaggy P was going, yay, as the ball went into the stands.
Yeah, this looked a lot. Yeah, I mean, they probably played better tonight and overall than the Clippers. But other than that, yeah.
They didn't quit. This is a phenomenal basketball team. And in my opinion, the best coach in the NBA in 2 years either direction is Brad Stevens. You got to do a lot to unseat this dude. I would say coach of the year forever.
Yeah, no, I would say Brad Stevens is right there. All right, Stevens and Popovich and Kerr. Rick Carlisle's a great in-game coach.
Popovich is a coach now?
Yes, dumb guy.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, you're right about that. Brad Stevens, especially young coaches, Brad Stevens is a fantastic coach.
All right, friends. So we got DC tonight. Let's put it on them. And let's see if John Wall, maybe he does the Marcin Gortat guarantee about John Wall.
Oh, yeah, the 48 minutes of...
We'll own him or whatever he said. But I don't think the players really care about that anymore. It's a tough stretch, but that's what it is. And this is one of the toughest schedules in the entire NBA. 7th-ranked defense in the NBA. Let's celebrate this team. This game stunk. But you know what? Every team in the Celtics at 0-2 thought they'd stunk.
And 10 straight since then. Lonzo, I want 2 made threes from you tonight. That's what I want to see. 2 made threes. And Laker fans, look at field goal attempts. That's what you want to look at. Field goal attempts, Laker fans. You don't want to give up. If the Lakers shot 7%, I think it was 7% better than the Celtics tonight, but they gave up 13 more chances at those shots.
That's about running the ball up the court.
It's about stopping turnovers. It's not about not giving up turnovers and offensive rebounds.
All right, look at field goal attempts, and we can all agree. Lonzo Ball is going to have 2 made threes.
Make 2 threes tonight, Lonzo.
And, it'd be great if he took 2 and made 2.
I wanted to say I want to see him make 3, but I'll settle for 2 tonight.
But just say that was a bank shot he tried to attempt.
I don't care how they go in. I just want them to go in.
I call game.
Oh, very good. Paul Pierce.
There's the gold standard, and there's the purple and gold standard. Hope we hit it for you, my friends. More mailbag. Hashtag it. Ask ALP. This, my friends, is America's Lakers podcast. For Cori Fry, Aaron Larsuel, I'm JJ, and we say sayonara. See you soon.
Talk to you soon.
We love you.
Thanks for listening to America's Lakers podcast with Jay Mohr, exclusively on Podcast One Sports. New episodes on podcastone.com, the Podcast One app, or subscribe on Apple Podcasts.